Hey, a couple of things real quickly for business statistics. I want to go back just briefly to problem number, let's see if I can get back to there. Sorry, I should have had this up. But chapter 8, and the last problem for chapter 8. And by the way, there's different data sets. I think my link takes you probably to an older data set. So some of you had that one, which is these numbers, and some of you had this one, which is these numbers. Okay, and so I ended up just doing them both so that I could make sure that I gave you guys the right give you the right answers and whatnot. But what's important here for many of you, you gotta do, I call it the rule of reasonableness, and what makes sense, and sometimes you got to think about that a little bit. So a lot of you did this right. You got the mean. That was pretty simple, right? And the standard deviation for the population, okay? And then, here's my mean and my standard deviation. Obviously, everybody came up with different answers there for the sample, okay? But my mean is 233, which is greater than the mean of the population, right? My sample mean is 233, quite a bit greater actually than the mean of the population, although the standard deviation is 46, so it's just a part of that standard deviation. But the important thing there, the last question for that was, what's the chances that a sample mean, any sample mean, would be as high as my sample mean, the 233, or higher? Well, mine's above this mean, so in that case, I know that it has to be less than 50%, right? If my mean was equal to this mean, the chances that I would have a sample mean greater than that would be exactly 50%, right? If my mean that I came up with, and a lot of your means were less than, by the way, almost everybody got that incorrect, but a lot of you came up with means that were less than the mean of the population. That means that your answer had to be greater than 50% when you calculated, the last deal. And I've got mine there. I probably should have made that a percentage, but it doesn't matter. Okay. And that looks about right. Okay. There's a 21.2% chance that my mean's going to be even higher than that. Again, oftentimes when you look at that distribution, the old bell curve, there's a big chunk of that ends up at the very center, and you get away from that, and it dissipates pretty quickly. And so 21.2%, that seems reasonable. So think about those as you go through the rest of the semester, that kind of take a look at your answers. And some of these, I grant you, the formulas and whatnot get so gnarly you're not sure what, but kind of take a look at your answers and then think about whether that makes sense or not. Then real quickly onto the chapter 9 assignment. If you take a look at that, number 30, okay, I don't really go over that, I don't believe, and I don't think the book does a good job of going over that either, okay, and I've got it in my notes that it's kind of a bonus question. But if you take a look at problem number 49, okay, and the answer for problem number 49 is in the back of the book, so if you take a look at that and how it was completed, probably give you a pretty good idea then of how to do number 30. I mean, problem 49 is almost identical, even though it's further back. It's very similar, almost, like I said, almost identical, just the numbers change. It'll give you a good idea then how to complete number 30, and in any event, I'll just count that as a bonus question. So thanks, and have a good week.